If you've lived longer than 5 minutes, you've probably done something you regret. And those regrets and shames can get in the way of ever having a relationship with God. But there's good news. My guest today says the heroes of the Bible have just as many flaws as us, and yet they made a profound impact on history. Autumn Miles, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. What an honor.
And you know, this whole narrative that you have, your story, really is that your past got in the way of believing what God had for you. How did it do that?
Well, when I was young, when I was 15, I started dating a guy. He was really good looking and I was attracted to him. And about 6 months into us dating, we became sexually active. And I saw the respect level in the relationship just decline. And around that time, I didn't know what it was called, but there was some mental and verbal abuse that started taking place. He would tell me things like, you know, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid. Any expletive you can think of, he would add in there. And 3 years after we were dating, he asked me to marry him. And so, you know, as a 19-year-old, I think, sure. We got married and things just declined from there. He became physically abusive, socially abusive, very spiritually abusive. And I found myself in a situation where I desperately needed hope, but didn't know where to turn. I was suicidal. I had a relationship with God because my dad was a pastor. I thought I had a relationship with God. And, but I was scared of God. I was scared of who he was. And so I found myself in a really difficult situation at the age of 21.
So you're in this marriage, you grew up in the faith, but you and God weren't talking. Did that change?
Yes, one night at 3 a.m. in the morning, it's hard for me to even go into all the specifics as to what was happening. When you're in a domestic violent relationship, it brainwashes you. And I was in this brainwashed situation where I thought that my ex-husband was going to kill me because of things that he had done, things that he had said. I was really struggling with depression at that point. I didn't know it was depression, anxiety. I was terrified of God because I thought I had done this huge, horrible thing and God was I thought he was going to kill me. I literally was going to get in an accident and I was going to die.
Wow.
And so one night at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, that pressure is a lot to take. And I laid in my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, God, if you're real, you have to do something. This God that I had heard about growing up, how he had parted the Red Sea and all of these amazing stories that I've heard, I hadn't seen him interact in my life that way. And so I literally started planning my own death in my head. I couldn't take it anymore. And as I started planning how I was going to commit suicide, the Spirit of God spoke to me. And he said something so simple, do you remember me? And I knew who it was. Because when the Creator speaks to his creation, your soul, it has no choice but to stand at attention. And that voice drew me out of bed to a room across the hall, and I opened up a Bible for the first time in years, terrified of what it was going to say. I just knew it was going to take me to like Leviticus where God kills everyone or something like that. And I said, God, you've got to speak. Are you actually real? Offered the most rebellious prayer. And so I did a famous Bible flip open, looked down at the verse that my eyes landed on, and it said, the righteous will have long life. And only God knew in that moment I was planning my own death, terrified my husband was going to kill me, and was scared he was going to kill me. So that one line changed my life. That one verse from Scripture breathed life in me that I had never felt before. And that's when I committed my life to Christ, and my soul changed, my heart changed.
Well, I want to continue your story. You are, you know, in an abusive marriage, even though your heart changed, and shame and guilt was still really huge. I think maybe there's some legalism there maybe in your faith journey. We're going to talk about all of that when we come back.